My darling mother, we have finally finished our training. This is just a line to let you know I have been warned for a draft overseas and am off to France this afternoon. So I suppose by the time you get this, I'll be well into it over there. You must not worry about me, mother dear. I shall look after myself and not run any more risks than I can help, and will come back again to you safe and sound.
It's late 1917. The war is now 3 years old. Since the Russian surrender, Germany has moved its entire force to the Western Front, a line held by Allied forces, including the Anzacs. Private William Doom Arkens is a Lewis gunner stationed on the Belgian-Franco border, where the most German activity is concentrated. On the 9th of October, all Australian and New Zealand divisions are pushed forward to try and retake the Belgian village of Passchendaele. The offensive is a bad call, an order passed down the chain by distant politicians. The men are already exhausted and demoralised from a big offensive the week before, and now torrential rain has muddied the Flanders fields to the point where men are drowning in it. A war on foot seems pointless, but still the men are sent over the top. The Australians are completely bogged down, as too are the Germans. Bullets and shells whistle past in all directions. Somewhere in all the confusion, Doom is knocked out by 2 bullets, one to the hip and the second to the head. He awakes, some time later, to find himself in a war hospital in Dustin, England. 2 weeks later, he writes,
My dear mother, our brigade was frightfully knocked about the day I was hit. As I've heard, 75% of casualties are dead. This is awful, isn't it? All my best mates, gone forever. One can't realise what an awful place it was, wading through mud and water up to our waist and sometimes sinking right in and having to be dug or pulled out of the dreadful mire. I can't talk about it anymore. It grieves me too much when I think of it. It's nearly time this struggle was over.
Doom's letter continues, describing some minor head surgery that he'll be undergoing in the following days. In the coming months, as he continues to heal, Doom writes regularly to his mother, but omits something: his engagement. He's planning to marry a nurse, Edie, on the 3rd of April 1918. Or at least he was. He's just received notice that he'll be heading back to France shortly, and so their plans to marry will have to be postponed, possibly until this terrible war is over. Doom leaves her, expecting a baby, with nothing but a promise of return and his love. Doom rejoins his unit in early March. The Australians' outlook has changed noticeably since Passchendaele. They've had some major successes, are in great spirits, and have extremely capable leaders. Over the following weeks, Lieutenant Colonel Morshed's field reports detail how pivotal the 33rd Lewis gunners have been in the fighting, and praises their bravery. They're defending a small town called Villers-Bretonneux, and if the Germans take it, they will be able to push forward to the coast and install submarine bases. If they can do this, they will likely win the war. The only thing in their way are the Australians. On the 4th of April, the Germans attack at the break of dawn with artillery and gas. The Australians, despite being drastically outnumbered, hold back onslaught after onslaught, and even though the Germans are able to briefly hold claim to the village, the Australians immediately regroup and drive them out again. It sounds like something the propaganda machine back home would manufacture, only this time it's for real. By the end of the day, the Australians have magnificently retained their positions. But Doom isn't among them.
My dear Mrs. Arkens, I feel I must send you a few lines to express my great sympathy with you in your loss. About 5:30 in the morning of the 4th of April, a shell burst through the doorway of his billet while all were asleep. He was killed instantaneously, and so suffered no pain whatsoever. I hope you will take comfort in the thought that his sacrifice is not in vain. He died for his home and country. Your son William was a good lad and a fine soldier, always cheerful and ready to do his bit. His loss is felt not only by his platoon, but in the whole company, and I personally feel his loss, not only as a soldier, but as a comrade, as all my men are my pals. Trusting that you'll find this of some little comfort, I am yours, very sincerely, R. Horner Fletcher, Lieutenant.